how will all of these overnight cues impact the Indian markets. We have a research team joining in with our power prep segment with the trade setup and the stocks that are likely to be in news. First up, Ekta is joining in to get all the market cues that we need to watch out for. Morning, Ekta. It's a truncated week, so likely to see lesser volumes.
Well, yes, hopefully that's the case, Hormuz. Definitely. So just a recap for Friday, the markets recovered from the opening lows to end near the day's high on Friday. The Nifty held on to 22,000, which was positive. All sectoral indices were in the green barring IT, and the market breadth was positive, which is important, and the markets ended in the green for the second consecutive week as well. So the setup on Friday or the close seemed to be quite positive. FIIs continued to net sell, so they net sold over 3,300 odd crores, but the DIIs mitigated a large part of it by buying around 3,700 odd crores. Now, in terms of the global setup, you've already alluded to that. The US, it was a flattish close. We had a lot of stocks in focus, such as Intel, which did slide. We had United Airlines, which is lower. The Boeing fiasco continued to be in focus there. Asia is largely mixed. We have Kospi, which is at a 2-year high. Oil continues to boil, so it's at around $86, $87 per barrel. The Ukraine has struck Russian refineries, so that seems to be one of the key boiling points for oil. Now, in terms of cues to track globally, Wednesday we have Australia CPI, Friday the Japanese CPI, we have the US Fed, US Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, which is one of the key indices that the Fed tracks very closely for inflation, which will be out on Friday. But like you mentioned, it is a holiday shortened week, so most of the experts do expect volumes to be low. The markets could probably remain ranged at an index level, and activity in stock selection opportunities likely to continue according to experts. Cues on the longer term, RBI MPC April 3rd to the 5th, elections April 19th to June 1st. So I think the markets are going to start poising themselves for these cues.
Some important cues to watch out for. Thanks a lot, Ekta, for joining in. And since it's been a truncated week, the list of stocks to watch out for this morning is also a long one. Let's start off with Adani Ports, and the news came in earlier this morning that it has decided to acquire a 95% stake in Gopalpur Ports for around 1,349 crores in cash, and that is at an enterprise value of 3,080 crore rupees. Now, this deal, subject to regulatory approvals, is likely to be completed in the first quarter of FY25. Dr. Reddy's is the other one to watch out for this morning, as it has entered into a licensing agreement with pharmas, and that is for marketing a resuscitative agent for the treatment of a hypovolemic shock. And these exclusive rights to market and distribute this product are not only for India but for Nepal as well. Now, a block deal is likely to take place in Mankind Pharma today, where Beige Limited is likely to sell up to 2.9% stake in the company. Now, when you look at the price band, the offer price is between 2103 to 2214 rupees a share, and the lower end of the price band, the deal is valued at around 2460 crore rupees. Now, Beige Limited, as of December, had a 2.99% stake in Mankind Pharma. Now, life insurance companies will be in focus because the IRDAI released the final surrender value regulations, and those are applicable from the 1st of April of 2024. And the surrender value will remain the same or even lower if policies are surrendered up to 3 years, and they may be slightly higher for policies surrendered between the 4th to the 7th year. We'll get you more details as we move on. Uno Minda is the other one, which has entered into a technical licensing agreement with Star Charge Energy, and that agreement is to manufacture and sell EV supply equipment in India. And Lupin and Welspun Corp are some of the other stocks that we need to watch out for this morning. And after the stocks to watch out for, Nigel is joining in now with cues from the F&O space. Morning, Nigel. What are some of the key levels we need to track this morning?
Well, volumes will be lower, Hormuz. Last week was lower than the previous week in the cash market, and this week will be even lower because maybe most of the street are off for a vacation or so, given that it's a truncated week. But, in terms of the global cues that you all were mentioning, a couple of things stand out. One is the dollar index and the other one is the yields. Both of them have not cooled off. In fact, from the last Fed meeting where they said, yes, they'll be seeing at least three, the indications are at least 3 rate cuts we see. But both these two asset classes are not reacting in that manner. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that front. Point number one. Moving to the, the data that we're getting from the F&O market. On the FI side, well, there was some short covering that we saw. So the net short positions did come down. And looking at the options data, it seems we're in a bit of a range. So two strikes are very active, 22,300, and on the downside, the 20,050. So both those two, there was fair bit of call writing that we saw at both those two strikes, telling you that at higher levels, we're likely to see some selling. And even if you saw on Friday's trading session in today, the markets did come off from the high point of the day. On the downside, though, the 22,000 put has the fair bit of open interest. It has the highest, in fact, more than a crore shares out there. And the premium's around 60 rupees. So you're counting on that 21,850, 21,900 level holding out. The PCR we had mentioned last week, it had gone down to around 0.7 odd. It's bounced back to around 1.23 odd. So that's in the middle of the range of around 0.7 to around 1.6. Levels to track, well, the recent high, that's on Friday. We saw this high of close to around 22,181. That's a bit of a resistance zone that ties in with around the 20 DMA. So that becomes a resistance zone around 22,250, or that should be a resistance. On the downside, though, some kind of support at around the 21,900 mark, as well as the 50 DMA that comes out for there. The crucial hurdles, they remain elusive for the Nifty as well as the Nifty Bank, and they're up for you on the screen. Keep an eye out on a couple of stocks because they come out of the F&O ban, Balrampur Chini, Pyramid Enterprises, as well as Industars. Keep an eye out on them.
Some important levels to track. Thanks a lot, Nigel, for joining in. And